Well, it's March 19th. I wanted to make a video today, but it's fucking windy as fuck. Also, there are people everywhere. God damn. Otherwise, nice day though. Okay, the wind seems to be calmer now, so hopefully I might get a chance to make some stuff. See right here, we're in a woodland of big tooth maples, Acer grandiflom, and some gamble oak, Quercus gambelii. So yeah. Alright, so botany in the winter and early spring and late fall and similar times, as you might imagine, can be very tricky. These plants are going to be lacking flowers, they're going to be lacking fruit very often, and quite often they won't even have any leaves, depending on where you are and what plants. So it can leave very few features, often just whether or not we are woody, the growth form we have, bark texture, and other similar things to work with to identify plants. However, there are a few things you can do to greatly increase your chances of identification. For one, knowing which plants grow in a specific area can greatly improve chance of identification, and it can make the difference between a successful ID and a complete and very bad miss. Now, if you have a specimen that you want to identify that you found somewhere else, and it could be, and you don't know where it came from, it can be obviously be quite tricky. This won't work in your favor, but otherwise, this is perhaps the biggest thing you can do. Secondly, you gotta look for features that might still be there, but give you indications of like flowers and leaves and what they're like and whatnot. Like for instance, this gamble oak tree is retaining its winter leaves to an extent right here, as you can see. That's a big giveaway for what the plant is. And likewise, it has remnants of some of its flowers, which indicates it's quite likely perhaps Asteraceae member. Now that's not something you can ID with, but it is something you can work with. Alright, going back to winter botany. This is a glacier lily or yellow avalanche lily. It has several names. Its scientific name is Erythronium grandiflom. And I can tell this because there are adult specimens, or flowering specimens right here. It is a very early plant to bloom, and it is quite common at many elevations, and it's very distinguishable by its way it droops. Sorry for the cut right there. I had people came up on me. Anyways, the flower normally is drooping. That's one way that distinguishes it from other flowers. Okay, now that some extremely loud people have passed, I can talk about two other species that are very good to try and identify in the winter. This one is Berberis or Mahonia repens, the creeping barberry. It it's one of the few evergreens you'll find in these mountains. That's an angiosperm, so a flowering plant that keeps its leaves all year long, and during the winter they can turn a red color like this. It's quite cool, I think. They're sometimes really deep red like that. So yeah, it's a pretty cool one. It's got some edible fruit, I believe, but I've tried it and it's not very palatable. It's just kind of sour and tastes kind of like plants. And the other one you might recognize is Toxicodendron rydbergii, or poison ivy, or actually western poison ivy. Unlike the eastern variety, it only grows as a shrub, and in winter it's very identifiable because of these clusters of white berries it has. So white, yellowish green color. They have these, can't really, kind of hard to see here, but they got these lines. Here, I'll try and start the video. Okay, as you can see, the berries here, they have these ridges on them, and they occur in these clusters like this. Hopefully I don't get poison ivy rash from this, but anyways, these berries, if you see them, are extremely indicative of poison ivy in the winter. So yeah, if you see this, avoid this plant, unlike I am doing right here. Okay, now here we have a really good example of just how red Berberis or Mahonia repens can get in the winter. This is very, it's not even shown up on camera, this is very, very dark, deep purple, reddish color. Love it. Okay, so here I have another great spot to showcase a plant you can identify in wintertime without any living tissue present. This is, around here, these flattened leaves are those of Wyethia amplexicaulis, or the northern mule's ear. And it is, for one, I already knew it was growing here, but two, it's very distinguishable because of these large, the shape it's got here, and because of the stalks you can see here. There's a little asteraceate inflorescence right there, right at the tip there, and you can see some leaves growing on the stem of the plant, which is indicative of it. And again, it is known for this area. That is the most important thing, that I know it already grows here. Alright, so what use is actually knowing a plant ahead of time before you identify it? Maybe not much, but if you identify it in a similar environment beforehand, you can perhaps transfer this knowledge to to other areas with a similar environment. For instance, I don't think I've actually seen Wyethia amplexicaulis growing here, but I've seen it growing in very similar places, and so now I have an idea that it can grow here just through intuition and deduction. So yeah. And thus concludes this video. Thanks very much anyone who stayed to the end. I know it's not a very great video. It's my first attempt at doing kind of what crime pace with Botany does, and just goes on and then films some plants in the middle of the wild. And it's not a very good video, but I gotta start somewhere, and hopefully I'm gonna try really hard to make better quality, more interesting videos, more plants, better settings and the like, and maybe I'll try and do things somewhat different than what he does. I don't think it's really an idea that can be infringed upon, just filming plants in the wild and talking about them and putting a caption up that says what they are. I mean, I'm not gonna pretend to be some Italian blue collar kind of guy like he does, but regardless, that's sort of what the deal is. And tell you what, if my channel gets more popular, I'll try and I'll make another video next year around the same time that's updated and better quality, and just a better version of what I'm trying to show here, which is how to do some sort of botany in winter, look for plants and identify them in the winter when it will have leaves or flowers or a lot of stuff. I'll try to speak more clearly too. I gotta work on that. I long have problems, speaking clearly. I can talk really fast at times. I don't say the right words in the right order, and I mix up letters sometimes. I need to prepare better, perhaps, but it's just an issue I've kind of had for a while, and hopefully making these videos can fix that a bit. Alright, thanks.